On a crisp autumn morning under California's clear blue sky, 76-year-old Barbara Jensen began her workday at the local grocery store. Every Saturday, she stood behind the counter, handing out product samples to busy shoppers. Her hands, shaking slightly from the morning chill and the weariness of old age, moved steadily. The $50 she earned from this job helped her stretch her budget a little further to cover rent, food, and other daily essentials. This was her only source of income, aside from the $915 a month she received from Social Security and Supplemental Security income. What sets Barbara Jensen apart from many other seniors is the loneliness and the challenges she faces at an age when she should be enjoying retirement. With no spouse by her side, no children to lean on, Barbara didn't have a pension, and the various odd jobs she worked over the years hadn't provided her with enough financial security to retire. For Barbara, retirement wasn't an option. Instead, she had to keep working just to survive. The apartment she lived in had become more empty and cold since her roommate passed away. Her $1.040 rent each month was a heavy burden she had to shoulder alone. With meager earnings and occasional help from local food banks, Barbara often wondered how long she could continue living this way, especially when the day came that she could no longer work. In her mind, she knew it was only a matter of time before her legs would give out, and her hands would no longer be strong enough for even the small tasks she now managed. What would happen when she could no longer take care of herself? Barbara's story is not unique. The challenges she faces are the reality for millions of elderly people around the world. As people age, many discover that they don't have enough savings, no pension, and no family support. Life becomes a long series of financial worries, health concerns, and feelings of isolation. People like Barbara Jensen are forced to confront the terrifying question: how will I survive these last years of my life without any support? This question isn't just her personal struggle, but a wake-up call for society at large about the lack of preparation for old age. How do the elderly survive without savings, pensions, or family by their side? In this video, we'll dive deeper into this issue and explore potential solutions to face it. First, let's take a clear look at the reality many elderly people endure every day. How many seniors, like Barbara, are living quietly, scraping by on their last few dollars, trying to maintain a life that they no longer have the strength to withstand? When old age arrives, the difficulties go beyond declining health. They are compounded by financial concerns, loneliness, and the absence of family support. In today's world, many people enter old age without sufficient savings or a pension to live on. They've worked hard their entire lives, tirelessly contributing to their families and society. Yet when the twilight years come, they find themselves unprepared. For some, like Barbara, years of unstable work and a lack of financial planning leave them in an unimaginable situation. As their health deteriorates and their ability to work fades, they are faced with a harsh reality. They're aging without enough money to take care of themselves. There are people like Barbara, trying to earn extra income through small part-time jobs. But with such limited earnings, they are unable to cope with rising living costs. Rent prices continue to climb, and daily living expenses and healthcare costs weigh heavily on them. Barbara has had to rely on credit card debt just to cover essential expenses like utilities, groceries, and medicine. She knows this cycle will only make life harder, but she has no other options. It's heartbreaking to know that many elderly people not only face financial struggles, but also deal with profound loneliness. When children or family aren't around, they feel lost in the world, as if everything is slipping away. Barbara, for instance, once had a roommate, but since her friend passed away, her apartment has become emptier than ever. Loneliness is something the elderly cannot easily avoid, especially when they have no one to rely on. The story of an 80-year-old man living alone with his two dogs, Titan and Rex, is another example. After his wife passed away, he gradually lost all the connections he once had. He feels as though his only companions now are his two dogs. Each day he struggles with the chronic aches and pains of an aging body. But even more haunting is the fear of dying alone, without anyone knowing. The thought that one day he might pass away and only be discovered when his dogs can no longer find food has become his greatest worry. This situation isn't just about individual stories. It reflects a broader societal issue, where more and more elderly people are facing a future without financial security or family support. Some are unfortunate enough to have no children, or their children live far away and can't be there for them regularly. Others face strained family relationships, leaving them even more isolated in their own homes. Whatever the reason, financial hardship and loneliness make the lives of the elderly infinitely more difficult. The feeling of being lost and the constant worry about the future always loom large. They fear becoming a burden on society or, worse, suffering through pain and loneliness with no one to care. The dreams of a peaceful, comfortable old age seem distant, replaced by the reality of trying to survive each day, knowing that the end is near. These challenges aren't just about financial problems. They reflect deep emotional and psychological struggles that society must address. Second, the impact on the elderly. As the weight of age slowly presses down on your weary shoulders, you find yourself not only battling the aches and pains of your body, but also the constant worry about money. Without savings, without a pension, and with no one to lean on, every day becomes a struggle. You know you need medication. You know you need medical checkups. But even these simple things feel completely out of reach. Every pill, every doctor's visit is a difficult choice between treating your aging body or keeping a little aside for other essential needs. Yet perhaps the greatest pain you face doesn't come from the lack of material things, but from the loneliness that invades every moment. When the people you once loved are gone, when your children are no longer near, the house that was once filled with laughter now only holds a heavy silence. You feel lost within the four walls, wondering if anyone still remembers you, questioning whether your existence still holds any meaning. Each day grows heavier as you face the terrifying quiet that surrounds you. This loneliness is not just a fleeting feeling, it is an ongoing burden. As the world outside keeps turning, you feel more and more disconnected from it, as if you are slowly fading away. You were once a contributor, once gave your youth and strength, but now, it seems as though your worth is no longer acknowledged. Each step, each thought becomes a burden. In this situation, you are not just grappling with material challenges, but also confronting a deep emotional pain. It's the pain of loss, losing your health, losing your connections, and sometimes losing yourself in a world that seems to have forgotten you. And this pain is the most frightening of all because it cannot be healed with any amount of medication or money. Third, the solutions. Life in old age can bring considerable challenges when you have no savings, no pension, and no children to rely on. But much like a river finding its way through obstacles, people can find ways to overcome by reconnecting with their community and finding strength within themselves. Solutions don't just come from material things, but also from the spirit, from holding on to the values of kindness, sharing, and a sense of responsibility toward one another. These not only help you through tough times, but also bring deeper meaning to life. Seeking support from the community. At times, you may feel as though life has forgotten you, as if you no longer belong to any community. But in truth, community is the foundation that helps us stand firm through all circumstances, not just in terms of material support, but also emotional and spiritual strength. In life, kindness and sharing are always valued, because each individual doesn't live solely for themselves, but as part of a larger society. Seeking and accepting help isn't a sign of weakness, but rather a display of humility and courage, acknowledging that you need others and, in doing so, sustaining the bonds that hold us together. Think of Henry, an 82-year-old man, quietly living alone in his small home. After his wife's death, he gradually sank into loneliness, feeling like he no longer had a place in life. The days slipped by like an endless stream of time without purpose. But one day, Henry decided to try something new. He joined a local church group that provided support for seniors. At first, he hesitated, feeling that asking for help was a sign of failure. But slowly, Henry came to realize that mutual support was a deeply ingrained value in the community. Attending these meetings not only provided him with extra food, But more importantly, he felt that he still had worth, still had something to contribute through his stories and experiences. The value of empathy and sharing is the key to overcoming the long days of solitude. By opening yourself to others, accepting help, and giving back, you not only make it through difficult times, but also contribute to the community's growth. Henry no longer felt lost, for he realized he was still part of something much larger, a community he had once forgotten. Choosing a home that fits your financial situation. A house is more than just a place to live. It's a symbol of safety and stability. But sometimes, trying to maintain a house that is too big or too expensive can weigh heavily on your life. The philosophy of less is more has been around for a long time, and in old age, it becomes even more significant. Choosing a smaller, more manageable space not only reduces financial strain, but also brings mental peace, as you no longer have to worry about overwhelming expenses and responsibilities. Margaret, at 75, once lived in the large home she and her husband built together, a place filled with sweet memories. But after her husband passed away, the house became an unbearable burden. Monthly bills for utilities and maintenance piled up, causing her stress. She tried to manage it on her own, but her health continued to decline. After much consideration, Margaret decided to sell the house and move into a smaller apartment in a senior living community. Letting go of the home that held so many memories wasn't easy. But Margaret realized that sometimes letting go isn't about losing something, but about finding peace again. The value of letting go is a lesson in choosing what is truly necessary for the present moment. A home doesn't have to carry the weight of the past, but instead should be a place where you find lightness and tranquility. Like life itself, not everything we hold on to is good for us. Simplifying can open new opportunities and relationships, allowing Margaret to live more freely, focusing on her health and new connections within her community. Utilizing government support programs. Fairness in society is reflected not only in each individual's rights, but in how society ensures that everyone has a secure, fulfilling life. Government support programs embody this principle, providing seniors with the means to continue living independently and safely. Sometimes, this help goes beyond material needs. It's an expression of care, a reminder that society has not abandoned you. John, a 78-year-old man, once thought he shouldn't rely on government assistance. He had worked hard his whole life and took pride in his independence. But as old age approached, his health steadily declined, and the cost of medical care became a burden too heavy to bear. After much deliberation, John decided to apply for Social Security and Medicaid, receiving financial support to ease his burden. These benefits not only helped him afford medication, but also gave him peace of mind for the future, knowing he wouldn't have to worry about medical costs. Accepting help isn't a sign of defeat. It's a right that every individual is entitled to after a lifetime of contributing to society. The government and society have a responsibility to care for the elderly because they have dedicated their lives to the development of the community. This ensures that no one is left behind. John learned that sometimes accepting help is the way to preserve dignity and self-respect. Connecting with others. Loneliness can be the greatest enemy, especially when you feel like there's no one left by your side. However, it's been long understood that humans cannot live without connection. Every individual, no matter their circumstances, needs relationships and bonds to feel valued. When you open up, when you step outside of your lonely four walls, you'll see that life still has so much beauty to offer. Lucy is a perfect example of this. After her husband passed away and her children moved far away, she fell into a deep loneliness, so much so that she didn't want to interact with anyone. But one day, she decided to join a volunteer group at the local library. She started with small tasks like organizing books and helping visitors. But gradually, Lucy realized that this work brought her more joy than she had expected. The people around her didn't just see her as a volunteer, but as a friend. They listened to her stories, laughed with her, and shared memories. Lucy's life was no longer empty. She found the connections she thought she had lost forever. In connecting with others, you're never too old to create new relationships. This isn't just a way to reduce loneliness, but also to rediscover your value in society. Helping others, listening, And sharing brings not only joy, but also makes your life feel more complete. Caring for mental and physical health. Health isn't just about being free from illness. It's also about having peace of mind. In old age, when physical health challenges become more evident, taking care of your mind becomes even more important. Small activities like walking in the park, reading a favorite book, or simply taking care of a pet can bring unexpected joy and help maintain mental sharpness. Dear friends, life at any stage is a shared journey of humanity. We cannot exist in isolation, especially as old age comes with its unique challenges. In the face of no savings, no pension, and no children nearby, seeking help isn't just necessary. It's a personal responsibility to yourself and to others. But change doesn't only come from waiting for society or the government to intervene. It starts with each of us. Every person has the ability to shape and change their life through daily choices and how they treat others with compassion and kindness. Start with yourself. In old age, what matters most isn't money or material wealth, but how you care for your spirit. Even in difficult times, you can choose to live with gratitude, appreciating what you have and listening to yourself. Ask yourself each day, what can I do to make my life more meaningful? Not just for me, but for those around me? Sometimes, opening yourself up to the community and to the people you encounter daily is the simplest way to make life better for yourself and others. It might be spending a little time listening to an elderly friend or sharing a small story or joy. Empathy and connection with those around you not only help you overcome loneliness, but also remind you that you still have value in this world. Sharing with others. There is a moral principle that says we don't live solely for ourselves, but also to help others. You don't need to do something big to change someone's life. A small act, a kind word, or a caring gesture can brighten someone's gloomy day. In today's world, where individuals are becoming more distant, human connection is more valuable than ever. Remember, sharing is never a one-way street. When you help others, you also receive something in return. The feeling that you're not just existing but are doing something meaningful for someone else will bring deep satisfaction and joy. Kindness is how we reconnect with our better selves, and it's how we find real meaning in life. Taking responsibility for yourself. Everyone is responsible for their own life. This doesn't mean we have to carry every burden alone, but that we have the courage to face challenges, find ways to overcome them, and be open to help when we need it. Being strong doesn't mean pretending you don't need anyone. It means understanding that sometimes accepting support from others is part of personal responsibility. It doesn't diminish your value. In fact, it allows you to live more authentically. Life is a series of choices, and the actions you take today will determine how you live your remaining days. Choose kindness, choose compassion, and choose love as your guiding forces. No one can change everything overnight, but small actions can make a difference, and those small differences will shape your life, making it one worth living, one to be cherished, finding meaning in every day. In the end, when you look back on your life, the most valuable things won't be the material possessions you accumulated, but the relationships, acts of kindness, and love you shared with others. Live each day with that mindset. Find joy in the little things. Connect with those around you, and create meaning through small actions. Because no matter how hard life gets, you always have the power to choose how you live and face it. In the final part of this video, we invite you to listen to the story of Marie Thompson, a beacon of dedication at age 70. In a quiet little neighborhood, where poverty and decay seem to have left their mark, Marie Thompson, a 70-year-old woman, stood out as a symbol of determination and compassion. With no savings, no pension, and no financial support from family, Marie proved that age and circumstances could not prevent her from making a positive contribution to society. Her story is a testament to the power of perseverance, showing us that we can still make a difference even when life is less than kind. Marie's circumstances. Marie was not much different from other elderly people. After retirement, her life depended entirely on a modest social assistance check, with no pension or savings. She had to budget carefully to cover her daily living expenses. The neighborhood she lived in wasn't much better off either. Abandoned homes, empty lots, and many residents had left in search of better opportunities. But Marie didn't let her circumstances push her into despair. Instead of waiting for help, she decided to take action and change both her life and the community around her. To her, old age wasn't a time for rest, but a time to rebuild what had been lost. The challenging beginning. When Marie first came up with the idea of growing vegetables in the neighborhood's abandoned lots, many people thought it was a far-fetched plan. The harsh weather, limited funds, and lack of technical support from the city made it seem like an impossible task. But Marie believed that if she didn't start now, the situation would only get worse. Marie began by collecting seeds from her remaining neighbors and repurposing old gardening tools she had kept for years. Every day, regardless of the weather, Marie would head outside, digging up the abandoned lots, cleaning up the trash, and tending to each row of soil. The early days were incredibly tough. The soil was barren, and some areas were polluted with garbage and chemicals. Yet, with persistence, Marie gradually transformed those litter-filled lots into fertile plots of land. When the first seeds sprouted, the neighbors began to notice the miraculous change. A few people started helping out, bringing more seeds and tools. Initially, only a handful of people joined, but soon the community spirit began to spread. People who thought their neighborhood was dead began to realize it still had the potential to thrive. The neighborhood transformation. Before long, the empty, weed-filled lots were replaced with thriving gardens, rows of vegetables, and blooming flowers. The residents of the neighborhood not only gained access to fresh, clean produce, but also regained a sense of hope for the future. Marie's gardens became a symbol of renewal, reminding everyone that their neighborhood still had value. Marie wasn't just planting seeds and vegetables, she was sowing seeds of unity. In the afternoons, neighbors would gather together to tend the garden, share stories, laugh, and forget the hardships of life. For many, Marie's garden became the one place they felt they truly belonged. The importance of individual action. Marie Thompson's story is not just about gardening. It's about the power of determination and dedication. At age 70, Marie didn't let financial barriers or age stop her from creating a positive change in her community. By starting with the smallest of actions, planting a seed, Marie transformed an entire neighborhood and brought hope to the people around her. Marie reminds us that change doesn't always come from grand gestures. Sometimes, the smallest acts of dedication, determination, and compassion can make a profound difference. And no matter our age or our circumstances, we all have the power to contribute to society. Marie's story is a vivid example that change isn't dependent on wealth, but on courage and kindness. Even without a pension, savings, or children to rely on, Marie found meaning in life by helping others and revitalizing her neighborhood. This is a lesson for all of us. You don't need vast resources or power to make a difference. What matters most is the will to make a change and the belief that every person can contribute to their community. The changes Marie brought about weren't just in the form of lush green gardens, but in the spirit of togetherness and belief in the power of individuals. She showed us that, even in the toughest situations, you can create something wonderful with your own hands and heart. We hope this story has inspired and motivated you. If you have any thoughts or feelings to share, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in future videos with more meaningful stories.